I saw this person's tweet on Twitter and it just got me thinking about a lot of things, and I felt like I had to talk about it. So first of all, I'm going to put this tweet up here so that you guys can read it properly, so that you can understand what I am reacting to. So the person was basically saying that if Peter Obi leaves ADC because he can't win the primaries, they're not going to follow, and that Nigerians should just stay in one place, should stay in one place and support whomever gets the ticket, whether it's Amaechi, Obi, Atiku, or Kwankwaso. He said the goal is just to remove APC from power. So when I see things like this, I don't know if it's just me, but I just feel like this person is either not obedient or they don't understand what it means, because I just feel like some people just use the obedience title as a camouflage to be able to throw in another candidate, because when we say we are obedient, it's an ideology that we are following, and you cannot be an obedient and think like this, because being obedient is not about following somebody blindly. It's not about just following a name. It's about the ideology. It's about wanting good leadership. That is the key thing, good leadership. So when I see tweets like this, I just feel like this person maybe is an Atiku supporter or an Amaechi supporter, or, just somebody else, but definitely not an Obi supporter. But they are trying to make it look like they are, because they want, they think that they are somehow going to get obedience away from Obi somehow, I don't know. So we are following Obi because of what he represents and what we have seen with our eyes. Nigerians are not stupid. People have traveled, people have seen other countries. Even people that have not traveled, everybody has an idea of what Nigeria can be. So the people who have come together around him are people who are thinking the same way, people who want something better. And we know that you cannot achieve that kind of Nigeria with just anybody. Just because somebody is in the same party does not mean that the person can give you that kind of Nigeria that you want. That is where the difference is. We are not looking for a party, we are looking for a man. That is the difference. We are not looking for a party. We are looking for a leader. So if we have identified somebody that we believe can start that process, of course, naturally, wherever that person goes, people will go. Because the belief is in the person, not the party. So when people say support the party, most times it is because they actually prefer another candidate in that party. That's the truth. Because if it was really about ideology, they will understand why people are focused on one person. And I feel like that's why a lot of them are feeling pressure, because they understand the kind of support that follows Peter Obi. They know that he has the people, which is very important. He has the people. Others may have money, connections, power, whatever, but he has the people. And anywhere the people believe, they will move. It's not about the party. It could be any party. People just want leadership that they can trust. And that's the point. So that being said, I also want to show you something else. I'm going to put up another tweet here. This one is from this person who has been dragging Peter Obi for the longest since this whole conversation about him possibly leaving the party started. You can already tell the kind of candidate the person prefers, right? Okay, so the person tried to do a comparison saying Amaechi versus Obi, listing political positions, appointments, all of that. Amaechi this, Amaechi that, 2-time speaker, 2-time governor, minister, all those things. Then for Peter Obi, he just wrote 2-time governor only. And then he asked, who would you hire? And so when I saw this, I just smiled, because this is exactly the kind of comparison that people keep making, and it does not really address anything that is important. Then somebody replied and actually listed Obi's full background, his roles in banking, which I will put up here, his roles in banking companies, economic teams, all the boards he sat on, all the leadership roles. And you begin to see that even from that angle, the comparison is not even complete. But let me even say this very clearly. Even in all those extra things, even if all those extra things were not there, even if it was just 2-time governor, a lot of us honestly don't care. Because we have had people with long CVs, long titles, big positions, and look at where Nigeria is today. So clearly, that's not the main thing. The most important thing now is the mindset, the heart, the way a person thinks about leadership and about people. That is what matters, because you can have all this experience in the world and you still will not have the right intention. So when people bring CVs like this as the main argument, it does not really move us anymore. What we are looking for now is different. We want somebody that actually has the heart for the people, somebody that understands what the ordinary Nigerians are going through, not just somebody that has been in the system for the longest. We don't care, because we've seen what that system has produced and we don't like it. So now let me even show you the kind of comparison that actually matters. I'm going to play some videos for you. I want you to watch them properly. Even if the audio is not perfect, just listen carefully, please. And after that, I'll come back and talk.
Be probably the most controversial, or probably the worst, because as a matter of fact, the provisions, I would say the provisions are even far higher than what is contained in that of Akwa Ibom State. Now, should Governor Babatunde Fashola, of course, as we know, he'll be leaving office in 2015. So when he leaves office, what is he supposed to get? Remember, you have former Governor Bola Tinubu, so it means he's enjoying all of this. Now, this is what if Governor Babatunde Fashola leaves office today, this is what he'll be getting. 100% annual basic salary now of incumbent salary for life. So whatever the current governor is earning is what he would be getting, which is 100%. He's going to get that for life. The governor gets 6 new cars every 3 years. I mean, at that rate, you would say, well, the governor may soon become a car dealer, because if you get 6 cars every 3 years, do the calculation yourself. Over the course of, say, 12 years, he would have a lot of cars to sell. Then the deputy governor gets 5 cars every 3 years, and a house. The governor, now this is for the governor. The governor gets a house in Lagos and one in Abuja. And what does the deputy governor get? The deputy governor gets 1 house in Lagos only. Now, the governor, and of course the deputy governor and their family, are entitled to free medical health care, and their family, free medical health care, now for life. There's no cap. There's no provision. It could be 10 million. It could be 5 million. It could be 100 million, 200. No cap at all. Now, there's also provision for cook, steward, gardener, and other domestic staff. All of them pensionable for the governor. And furniture allowance, he gets 300% of annual basic salary every 2 years. House maintenance is 10% of annual basic salary. The governor's security, well, the governor is entitled, the former governor now, he is entitled to 2 SSS operatives, 1, of course, a female officer, and then 8 policemen. Now, imagine how many policemen we have in this country. Now, you have these former governors getting 8 of them. 8. Just to protect them. Then you can imagine how many policemen would have left to protect the citizens. The deputy governor now gets, for security now, 1 SSS operative and 2 policemen. Now, the governor gets for PA, 25% of annual basic salary, car maintenance, of course, those 6 cars. 30% of annual basic salary, entertainment 10% of annual basic salary, utility 20% of annual basic salary, and the drivers who will be driving those 6 cars must be pensionable, and there's no limit to the number. And then you have severance benefits. Well, we don't know, but the governor, if Babatunde Fashola leaves office next year, of course, he'll be entitled to a severance benefit. And, as I said, former Governor Bola Tinubu is he's getting this pension. When Babatunde Fashola leaves office, he'd be entitled to all of that. And, we do not know if the people of Lagos State were actually consulted, if there was a public hearing for the people of Lagos State to make their own contribution. But we just felt it was necessary to bring all of this to you, so that you know what your former governors are getting, and so that you know what the current governors will be getting when they leave office.
And since I left office to today, nobody has paid me 1 naira. I've not received 1 naira.
You said that you have not made your request?
No, I said I've not received 1 naira, either directly or indirectly. Nobody has supported me in any way or anything, because you said that's why I'm looking very good. I'm only looking very good because for me, I had a temporary office which I served and moved on with my life, and to God be the glory. Remember, you have somebody who has worked for 35 years, going home on 50,000 a month. And somebody, I don't want to say came from nowhere, like me, put in 4 years, and he's taking 500 million a year. So this woman in 1 year will earn 600,000, and I will earn 500 million. It's not even taking 1% from that. That is my own worry. So it's not how much you pay a retired university professor a month. Maybe about 200, 300,000. How much do you pay this for it to be a professor in a university? You must have spent 15 years, 20 years to become. So you can go on and on. How much do you pay other people who have worked so hard?
Paying their pensions back
completely. If you finish, you just go home. Even the pension now questions, what are they paying themselves when they're in office? If they can pay themselves this when they have left. Nobody can tell you were doing something before you came to be a governor. That's as simple as this. Before I came to become governor, before I became governor of Anambra State, I was doing something. With the level it is now, it should be scrapped completely. And that's not. When you finish, you've served faithfully for 8 years. Go back to what you were doing before you came.
So after watching those videos, you can see for yourself. The first video talks about all the benefits that Lagos governors get while they are in office and even after they leave office. And I believe they said it was put in place by Tinubu. So houses, cars, security, allowances, everything. And it's not just for a short period. This is something that will continue for their entire life. So imagine that. Imagine being in power, enjoying all the benefits, and then after leaving, you are still collecting all these things. And the question everybody wants to know is why? What are they doing to deserve that? Meanwhile, the average Nigerian is struggling. People are working hard every day and can barely survive. So when you see all these perks, you already know that the average Nigerian will not reject something like that. Let's be honest. Most people will not reject it. It is not easy to reject that kind of benefits. But then you now have someone like Peter Obi who rejected these things. And he's not just the average Nigerian. He was a politician. He had the access and he did not reject it. Not just one thing, multiple things. And when you hear him speak, when you hear the way he reasons, you can tell that his thinking is different. And in the video I showed you, you can see that he's asking questions like, how can you be giving yourself all these things when people who have worked for 30 to 35 years are barely surviving? You know, look at lecturers, look at teachers, look at doctors that have worked for decades. Look at how they are treated. How much are they being paid? How much do they pay them? Then compare that to the politicians. Are politicians doing more than doctors are doing? Doctors are practically saving lives. Even politicians, are they doing more than soldiers are doing, the military? Although I don't know how much the Nigerian military is doing, but look at America. Look at how it treats its military. You know, like, you're giving your life for the country. Obviously, everything is going to be put in place for you properly. You can't just treat them like they don't matter. But that's what's happening in Nigeria. Instead, they pay politicians. Politicians that even when they are in office, everything is fantastic. They have everything at their beck and call. They are living the soft life while they are in office. And then they leave office and they are still living the soft life. So what are we paying them for is what I don't understand. They're not making laws that necessarily make the lives of Nigerians better. So what are we paying them this amount for? Is that their money? Is that the money of Nigerians? Every other person in Nigeria? Are they taking their money? Are they taking our money? And then you now see someone like Peter will be rejecting these things. You know, that kind of thinking is not common. So this alone already answers a lot of questions, because now you start asking yourself, how many people in that position would do the same thing? How many people would actually reject these benefits willingly? That is the real comparison, not all these titles and positions and whatever it is. Even though he has a very good CV, his CV is amazing, spectacular, but it's not even about that. The comparison is in character and decisions. So this is about mindset. It's about the mindset of the person. We're looking for someone with the kind of mindset that we want, because anybody can occupy a position, but it's not everybody that will act the same way in that position. So just in case someone's going to come up here and say, oh, please, he didn't reject anything, where's the evidence? You can see this is one of the evidences of him rejecting something. This is where he rejected a land allocation in Anambra. And this is just one of the many things he has rejected. Now, I saw this one on Twitter. So yes, you can go and verify for yourself. For example, it has been said that he rejected monthly pension as ex-governor, rejected lands given to ex-governors, rejected large payouts and allowances when he held positions, rejected prize money, rejected offers tied to political influence, even refused to set up an office for the First Lady because he said she was not an elected official. He also did not use his position to place his children into government roles. Instead, they followed their own paths. Now, think about that. Even look at what he said. He's like, I was in office and I served and I went back to my life, which is what every politician should be saying. That's what they should be saying. I came and I served the people and I went back to my life. But I cannot say that for any other politician apart from Peter Obi. So that alone already tells you something, because what we are used to is the opposite. We are used to leaders entering that office and using the opportunity to secure wealth and power for themselves and their families. So when you now see someone that is deliberately doing the opposite, of course, the person is going to stand out. So you don't have to be surprised that we want Peter Obi. And that is why people are paying attention to him. So it's not by force for you to agree, but at least acknowledge that this kind of behavior is not common. And that is the point. Because when people talk about leadership, this is what they mean. It's not about being in office. It's about what you do with that office. So when people say they support him, this is the kind of thing they're looking at. And they're not looking at positions. They're looking at decisions, the decisions that you made when you were in power. They're looking at how you handled power when you had it. And that is the very, very important difference. So when you now put all of this together, you can already see why there is this level of support behind Peter Obi. You can see why people feel motivated, why it feels like there's something different here, because for a long time, Nigerians have seen the same pattern, the same kind of leaders, the same kind of results. So something different shows up. Of course, people want something different. And that is why when people try to reduce the conversation to just positions or party alignments, it doesn't sit well with a lot of people, because we have already seen what those kind of things can produce. So now the focus has shifted to values, mindset, and how a person actually leads. And that is why I keep saying, if you want to make a comparison, then make the right comparison. Show us how these other candidates have handled power. Show us all the decisions that they made that were directly beneficial to the masses. Okay? Show us that. That is what matters. Because at the end of the day, leadership is not about what you say, it's about what you do when you are in that position. And the truth is, a lot of people already know this, but they still prefer to push a different narrative because of their own interests. And that is another thing we need to be honest about, because in Nigeria, a lot of support for politicians is not based on ideology. It's based on personal benefits. People align with whomever will give them access, money, or advantage. And that is the part of what has kept this country the way it is. Because instead of focusing on what is best for everybody, people will focus on what benefits them and their immediate circle. And that mindset is a very big problem for us. And it brings me to another point. A lot of people don't actually want the kind of system that will require them to truly work and earn based on merit. A lot of people don't actually want a system. A lot of people don't actually want the kind of system that will require them to truly work and earn based on merit. Because let's be honest, the way things are in Nigeria now, there's a lot of free money, a lot of shortcuts and connections. You can go to someone's office, greet them, and then they give you thanks for coming money. You know, people get contracts that they did not really work for. People make large amounts of money without real, maybe, structure behind it. And for many people, that system works for them. So when you now bring this idea of a country where things are more structured, where you actually have to work, where your results depend on your effort, some people just don't like it. You know, they are scared of it because maybe they feel like they will not, if it comes to that, they know that they don't even merit anything. So that's why they're scared of it. That's why they don't want it. Because it removes the access that they are used to. And that is why you see this resistance. Because if you think about it, under a system that really works, you have to qualify for what you get. You have to pass your exams, you have to perform, you have to show competence. And that is how it should be. But not everybody wants that kind of thing. Some people prefer a system where connections matter more than competence. So when people talk about leadership, you also have to look at what kind of system that leader will promote, because it's not just about the person, it's about the structure that they will build. And for many of us, we are tired of the kind of structure we have now. We want something that actually works, something that rewards effort, something that gives people a fair chance, because right now, a lot of things are upside down. You have highly educated people struggling, while people with no structure or accountability are in positions of power. And that imbalance is part of the problem we are facing. I know I've spoken a lot, but I'm just going to round this up now. So that's really the kind of Nigeria we are talking about. A Nigeria where things will actually work, you know, where your effort matches the outcome, where your achievements actually mean something. I don't even know the perfect way to put it, but you understand what I'm trying to say. A country that functions the way other developed countries function. And Nigeria can actually be that if we allow it, if the citizens allow it. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the leaders, it's also about what we tolerate as people. You know, if we keep allowing people to come into power, take what belongs to everybody and leave, then nothing will change. So this is a point where many of us are saying that we want something different. And I stand by that. I have made my choice. People who are thinking beyond themselves have also made their choice. Because when you are choosing someone like Peter Obi, for a lot of us, it's not about personal benefits, it's about everybody. It's about the country as a whole. Because the truth is, many people are comfortable being rich in the middle of poverty. That is the reality. So people would rather have wealth for themselves and their families while everyone around them struggles, because that gives them power and control. And that mindset is part of what has kept Nigeria where it is, because when people around you are poor, it's easier for you to control them. It's easier to influence them with small things. And that kind of system benefits certain people. But that is not the kind of Nigeria that we want. Not for ourselves or for our children. We want something that's different. And that is why you see the kind of support you are seeing. So if that is not something you agree with, that's fine. Everybody has their own choice, but at least be honest with yourself about why you're making that choice. So if you stay to the end of this rant, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.